Hi, I'm Fritz, and welcome to Fritz Does STEM. In this video, we're going to be starting my new series on learning Python. For this video, we're going to be starting out by installing the development tools and learning a little bit of how to use them. So, to get started, you're going to have to go to this website called anaconda.com. And whenever you get here, you're going to want to go to the Products tab, click on Individual Edition. If you just click this download button right here, it'll scroll you down. And you're going to have to choose whatever one you have. So if you're running Windows and you have a 64-bit computer, you're going to want to get this one. If you have a 32-bit, I'm sorry for you. But anyways, so if you have Linux, Mac, or whatever, I'm going to be going with the 64-bit Windows installer because, well, that's what I have. So after downloading it, it's going to take a second. Okay, now that it's done downloading, simply click on it to run it. It should pop up over here on your monitor. You're going to have to go through all of this, agree. Now this part, you're going to want to make sure you go for just me. If you go for all users, it will require admin privileges, and whenever you want to install any packages or anything that this program might need to install in the future, you're going to have to put in your admin password every single time, and that's just really annoying. So just go for just me. Then you're going to want to set the folder location. Then, okay. So just leave this as is. Don't worry about this option. Just make sure this is still checked. Then simply install. It'll take a bit. Okay, now that it's finished installing, we can go ahead and go through. You can go ahead and now that it's finished installing, we're gonna do the second part here. The second part here is optional, but I will be using it for all of my further tutorials with Python. Now, first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go to your little search bar thing. It's not on my window over here. You're going to go ahead and open it up. It's going to look like this. It's going to look like if you've ever opened up a CMD prompt on your computer. It's going to look exactly like that, but it's not that. And so what we're going to be doing here is we're going to run this command. This command is going to install a set of commands that are for Linux commands. It isn't necessarily necessary. The DOS commands are fine, but for all of my tutorials, I'm going to be using these Linux command things. And these are going to be for stuff like getting a file and just doing stuff with files and whatnot, stuff like that. Now, DOS commands would work fine for this, but I've learned to use Python with these Linux commands, so we're going to be using them for these tutorials. Now, we're going to open up the Anaconda Navigator right here. So now that we have this to open up, it's kind of just a program. And inside this program, there's other programs. We got whatever this is and a bunch of other things. But what we want to worry about right now is the Jupyter Notebook. This is where most of our tutorials are going to be in. And this is where you're going to be doing most of your stuff. And so when opening it up, it's going to run it in your web browser. Now you need to select a file for it to put its files in and save whatever you've been working on. And I've already got a file right here made, but if you wanted to make another one, you would go to New, and then Folder, and then you can rename it, or delete it, or move it. It's pretty basic, but it runs through your web browser, so it's kind of to be expected. So we're going to open it up here. But with Python, we're going to go to New, and under Notebook, there's Python 3. We're going to click that, and now we've made our new notebook. So this is your notebook. In here, you can change its name by renaming it. I've named it Welcome to Python. You can make copies of it, save it, you can make a new one. Over here on these buttons, there's a save button. This is to make different cells. Cells are basically small sections of code so that you can run small sections individually, or you can have them all run in order. You can cut the cells, you can copy and paste them, and you can change their order. Over here you have run to run it, stop to stop the code in case you got like a infinite loop. This will restart the kernel, and then this will restart the kernel and run the whole thing in order. And so in these boxes you can write code. In order to run a code block, you have to shift and enter. If you press enter, it'll just make more and more lines. Now, you notice right here that when I run it, it put an output here. This output is saved to the kernel, and the kernel is basically just kind of the background stuff. It's what actually runs the code and whatnot. Now, this output, if you say change the variable, will be saved into the kernel, and so if you want to test a code that will output the value of a variable, any piece of code, no matter what order it's in, if you ran something down here that changed that variable, before running this, it will change the output. So depending on what you're trying to test, it might be a good idea to clear all outputs and clear all variables. And the way you do that is to click here and you restart and clear output. It'll basically make it act, once you run your code again, to act like you're just running the code fresh. Over here, you can change what type of thing the block is, so you can change it to different things, from code to headings and text and whatnot. If you put a hashtag in, anything after this tag will be not executed. Essentially, it'll just be a comment. So you can comment on your code and whatnot. So I can put after this hashtag here, so if I just do another one, after the hashtag I could put the same code that I put in earlier. What this code is, we will get to in a later episode. As you can see here, when I run it, it is not actually run. This has been the basics of how to install the Anaconda software and the basics on how to use the notebook. The next episode, we will be starting on actually coding. I have been Fritz, and I can't wait to see you again next time.